He hit the marble floor hard. A sharp sound. Glass rattling. A gasp slicing through the mansion's silence. The billionaire lay still, one hand twisted unnaturally, eyes half open, breath shallow. Guests froze. Executives in tailored suits stepped back. Phones came out. No one knelt. No one touched him, except the maid. Elena Fisher dropped the silver tray. It clattered loudly, echoing through the room. She didn't scream. She didn't hesitate. She moved, fast, purposeful. She knelt beside him, checked his pulse. His eyes flickered. And in that single moment, Elena realized something was wrong. Very wrong. Because billionaires don't collapse like this by accident. And this one was watching her. Stay with me. What Elena did next exposed a lie powerful enough to destroy an empire. Don't blink. Elena Fisher had worked in silence her whole life. 32, immigrant, invisible by design. She cleaned the Blackwood estate 6 days. A week, polishing marble floors worth more than her childhood home, dusting chandeliers that never noticed her reflection. To the guests, she was furniture. Useful. Replaceable. The man on the floor was Victor Langford, billionaire financier, media darling, a man who tested loyalty the way others tested wine, by watching who swallowed lies without flinching. The room was filled with witnesses, board members, politicians, donors, people with power, people who protected power. Victor had hired Elena 3 months earlier, after firing 3 staff for lack of discretion. He watched everything, asked questions that felt harmless, smiled too easily. What no one knew, Elena had been a certified emergency responder back home, and she never ignored details, especially the kind that didn't add up, because as she leaned closer, she felt it, a pulse that was far too steady for a dying man. Elena knelt beside Victor without asking permission. A murmur rippled through the room. Someone whispered, "Get her out of the way." Victor's eyes were closed. His hand lay limp, too limp. Elena pressed 2 fingers gently to his wrist. Counted. Once. Twice. Strong. Even. Not panic. Not collapse. Performance. She looked up. The guests avoided her gaze. Power prefers distance when truth gets close. "Elena," one of the managers hissed. "Step back. This isn't your place." But she didn't move. She loosened Victor's tie, slowly, deliberately. Her eyes scanned his face. No sweat, no discoloration. Breathing shallow, but controlled. She leaned in and spoke quietly, not to the room. "To pretend better," she whispered. "You should slow your pulse." Victor's eyelid twitched. A single, involuntary mistake. Gasps fluttered like broken wings. Someone laughed nervously. "She's imagining things." Elena reached into her apron and pulled out her phone. The screen was already lit. Recording. She had started the moment he hit the floor. "Sir," she said clearly now, voice steady, trained. "If you are experiencing cardiac distress, squeeze my hand. Nothing. If you're pretending," she continued, eyes locked on his face, "do nothing." Silence. Too perfect. She pressed lightly on a pressure point beneath his jaw. Not enough to hurt. Enough to test reflex. Victor flinched. Hard. The room froze. A board member stood. "What are you doing?" "Verifying," Elena replied calmly. Security stepped forward. But then, Victor's breathing changed. Faster. Ragged. He wasn't acting anymore. Because something else was wrong. Elena's fingers moved instantly, checking airway, pulse again. This time, irregular. Her expression shifted, focused, sharp. "This isn't a stunt anymore," she said. "Someone call emergency services now." The room erupted. Phones came out. Voices overlapped. Fear replaced arrogance. Elena stayed grounded. Hands steady. Voice commanding. She had crossed the point of no return. And whatever game Victor Langford had started, it was about to end very differently than he planned. The sirens came fast. Too fast. Red and blue light spilled through the mansion windows, washing over marble floors and frozen faces. The kind of light that exposes everything. Victor Langford lay on the floor now, no longer in control, no longer performing. His pulse skipped beneath Elena's fingers. "Stay with me," she said, voice low but firm. "Look at me." His eyes fluttered open. Panic cracked through the billionaire's mask. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he whispered. Not to her. To himself. The paramedics burst in, pushing past stunned guests. One knelt beside Victor, checking vitals. "Who started care?" the medic asked. Elena didn't hesitate. "I did." The medic looked at her. Apron, simple dress, cleaning gloves still on. "And your training?" "Former emergency response volunteer," she said. 8 years. "Before I came here," a pause, then a nod. Respect. They worked quickly. Electrodes, oxygen, monitors beeping unevenly. One of the board members leaned in, voice shaking. "What happened to him?" Elena stood slowly. She held up her phone. "I have a recording," she said. From the moment he collapsed. The room went silent. "I checked his pulse," she continued. "Strong, regular, he was pretending." Murmurs exploded. "But then," Elena said, eyes never leaving Victor, "his heart rhythm changed. Real distress. Triggered by stress. Or guilt." Victor turned his head weakly. "Elena," he croaked. She stepped closer so only he could hear. "You wanted to see who cared," she said softly. "Now you know." The paramedic looked at the screen. His face tightened. "This man has an undiagnosed cardiac condition," he announced. "High risk. If she hadn't intervened," he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Gasps filled the room. Hands flew to mouths. A woman began to cry. Victor was lifted onto the stretcher. As they wheeled him away, he reached out, desperate. "Elena," he said, voice breaking. "I was testing loyalty. I didn't mean—" She didn't take his hand. "You tested humanity," she replied. "And nearly lost yours." The doors slammed shut behind him. Silence fell again. Different this time. Not shock. Reckoning. Every guest understood the same truth at once. The maid they ignored had saved a billionaire's life, and exposed the emptiness of everyone else in the room. The mansion felt smaller now. The echoes of gasps still lingered, but no one spoke. Not because they were polite. Because they were embarrassed. Exposed. Elena returned to her duties. Quietly. Efficiently. Like she always did. Yet this time, heads turned. Whispers followed her. Respect, tentative but real, rippled through the staff and guests alike. Victor Langford recovered in the hospital. The board sent flowers, not because of policy, because they understood he owed his life to someone he'd underestimated, to someone he'd mocked. Elena didn't seek accolades. She never had. But she accepted subtle nods, quiet words of gratitude. And a check. One generous enough to remind the world that heroism doesn't come with a title or a suit. It comes from courage, observation, and heart. Victor called her afterward, his voice softer, humbled. "I misjudged you. I misjudged everyone. Thank you." He didn't ask for loyalty. He didn't demand recognition. He only admitted the truth. Sometimes humanity is hidden in plain sight. The story spread. Viral headlines, social media shares, even local news interviews. But the lesson lingered longer than fame. Power without empathy is hollow. Money without conscience is meaningless. And the person you ignore might just save everything you hold dear. Elena went back to work the next day. Her apron tied tight. Her smile quiet. Her dignity intact. A billionaire humbled. A staff inspired. Humanity reaffirmed. And somewhere, in the quiet hum of the mansion, she whispered to herself, "The world isn't who you think it is. It's who sees you when no one else does." True strength doesn't come from wealth, but from heart and courage to act when it matters most.